Hello, my name is Adam, and welcome to the Lead Realm. Thank you for joining me on my journey to paint the models of my youth. This channel is both a diary of my progress and also my way of documenting my painting process. Today, we will be painting 2 chariots on our journey to paint all of the Revenge of the Doomlord list. The chariots that I will be painting are the metal chariots from the Skeleton War Machines box set, which was part of the Machineries of Destruction range from the late 80s. Now, while I do like the later plastic skeleton chariots that featured in the Skeleton Horde box set, these models do have a little bit more detail and, in my opinion, character. There were various different models that were included in that box set, any of which could have manned these chariots. However, these 2 were the most commonly used riders for the chariot, so I'll be going with them. Like my other models with larger bases, I start by adding a few larger slate and rock pieces to break up those large flat surfaces. These are blended in a little by adding some smaller rock piles around the edges. The bone painting process starts as per the rest of the army, a healthy slop of skeleton horde over screaming skull base, with some Garragax sewer on the lower portions of bone. For the chariot itself, I figure that whatever is causing the darker bone areas in this army will probably be taking its toll on the wheels and the undersides of the chariot. Therefore, this is where I've chosen to use that darker brown. When this is all dry, I go back with a large soft brush and dry brush Screaming Skull all over the bone areas. As painters, we have lots of techniques and tools available to us. I honestly feel that there's no right or wrong way to paint things. However, I do also think that there are sometimes situations where a certain technique requires less time or effort, or gets your model to a playable place much quicker. Dry brushing is definitely one of those techniques. Depending on the material surface you are painting, it can bring excellent results that require very little post-processing. Personally, I think for the bones of these skeletons, that is exactly the case. They need very little work after the dry brushing step is complete. However, I do normally go back to the larger, flat surfaces or anywhere I want a smoother finish and use a brush to clean them up. But you could absolutely call it done after the dry brushing step, and the models would still look great on the tabletop. The final step here is to add a little bit of white on the raised surfaces where I want the eye to be drawn. There aren't many non-bone surfaces on the chariots themselves, and while I think the actual material is supposed to be flayed skin or similar, I've decided to paint this part as fabric, leaning on that Phoenician purple accent colour that shows up in various parts of the army. After a couple of thin coats, the purple fabric on the chariot and horses is washed with Nuln Oil, which is then highlighted back through Venetian purple, and then by adding in more and more Rakarth flesh to give that tattered, worn, royal purple look. The various areas of hair on the horses, their manes and tails, are painted with a mixed light grey before being washed again with Nuln Oil and highlighted back up to white. I wonder how their hair remains on after death. To my knowledge, I don't think hair attaches to the bone, but I'm not a horse stylist, so who knows? I wanted to try and introduce the bright turquoise that I used on the whites, as I like the pop of colour that brings, so decided to add it to the yoke horns at the front of the chariots, as well as their teeth. Perhaps this is the magic used to hold the chariot together manifesting itself. Or perhaps it's a model and I'm thinking too much about this. For the horns, I blended the turquoise into black by using a very rough wet blend, and then going back over it with some thin glazes to smooth out the transitions. The teeth were painted as though they were made of gemstone, and although I quite like how these turned out, after I put the model together, I realised that, in fact, you couldn't see them at all as the view was blocked by the horses. Just another case of, at least I know that they're there. It was at this stage that I decided to do the bases, so I could start putting things together before moving back onto the crew. I know I normally do this step last, but sometimes when you're working in sub-assemblies, it's worth putting things together once you no longer need access for painting, so that you can see how the model is coming together. This enables you to take action and make changes if needed. The crew had plenty of robes, so I used this as an opportunity to bring back more of the colours used elsewhere in the army. Cantor blue and Phoenician purple, both washed with Nuln Oil and highlighted using their respective base colours, mixing in some Rakarth flesh for the highlights. The details were mostly painted with Doomlord brown and, once again washed with, you guessed it, Nuln Oil. Sometimes I wonder what the hobby community would do if Games Workshop stopped selling Nuln Oil. I think I would probably just give up painting, to be honest. Other details included some very fetching, windswept hair painted in the same way as the horses, and some bandages around 1 foot. Perhaps this is some practice for a unit of mummies that I have waiting in the wings. final step was to tackle the few bits of metal on the riders. These were all painted in the same non-metallic metal style as the rest of my undead. On the scythe-wielding rider, he has a pair of horns that at first I considered painting turquoise like the chariot, but in the end opted for a more muted red to black transition. Now it's time to snap these chaps off their cork handles, drill a few holes into the chariots and glue them down. The chariots originally had spaces for their slotter tabs to fit, but I decided before priming to fill these gaps. Cutting the tabs off the models, sacrilege I know, and then to pin them in order to hide the gaps. I finished the bases with black rims, 3 coats of varnish, and then added some grass tufts to complete the look. And here is our completed pair of chariots. Along with the carrion, these are models that I'm not sure I would have picked to include in an army had they not been part of the Doomlord list. However, now I have them, I'm very glad. The models have loads of character, and I love the sense of speed and movement that the horses and riders impart. But for now, let's get this unit into the cabinet with the rest of the army. You might notice a few models are missing from this end shot. That's because I'm currently working on adding the banners to the army. And the very astute among you may even notice that the army now all have shields and movement trays. Don't worry though, all of these updates have been filmed and will feature in a finishing touches video at the end of the project. But for now, it's time to say thank you for joining me in this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching me paint these speed-crazed charioteers. Which classic chariot model is your favourite? This metal one or the slightly newer plastic one? I would love to hear your opinions in the comments. But until next time, stay old school and long live the lead.